Now on 4, our worldwide season continues in the northeast of England, the territory of the Up North Combine, whose sport is pigeons.
You get them going, you know. It's all sex drive with them. When they come
Cape pigeons, they've got to keep themselves.
Just dedication, that's all. Sheer dedication.
1 minute to go.
Purchased the pigeon for a total sum of just over £13,000.
The queer, but they seem to always come back. Man do.
The Up North Combine is something we're all very proud of. It's the largest pigeon organisation in the world. Its lofts stretch along a spectacular coastal strip dotted with coalfields, ironstone and steel plants from North Yorkshire in the south to Northumberland in the north. The sport grew up in industrial communities. Wherever you find men who do hard work, you get pigeon men who are just as committed to racing their pigeons. It's a passion. So-called 11th commandment, which says that all of those who are of unsound mind shall be the keepers of pigeons, and they're not far wrong. It's a sport that demands a lot from the people who keep them. When you've got your pigeon loft, it's a little place on its own. It's far enough away to be almost a hideaway. It's always been in quiet, peaceful places. Pigeon racing, there's a lot of hard work in it. You've got to get up at 5 in the morning, but at 5 in the morning, that's when you see your solitude. Calm men have calm pigeons. You find that excitable men have excitable pigeons, and sensible men have sensible pigeons. It's an extension of my personality. January is the start of the pigeon year, and it takes a dedicated passion to get you to Blackpool in the depths of winter.
Come on, Nick. But I can get one, Harvey. You've got to catch one, it could be a bit good in your lot.
Blackpool for the Up North Combine is the show. It's pretty much the social event of the year. It's unique. That weekend, there are thousands of pigeon men, and wherever you go, you're going to see a pigeon fancier. Judging, of course, is held behind closed doors, and the average fancier doesn't see any judging at Blackpool unless he happens to be a steward.
We're judging these pigeons, and really there is no set specific standard in pigeons, and really this makes judging of pigeons a little bit of a nonsense, because judging by its very definition is just expressing a preference for what you like.
Correct.
And it's what suits me in the hand, and if it was a sighted person that was judging, he'd be looking at that pigeon's eye and looking at the head. He might like it, he might not, but the two organs which brings a pigeon out of extreme distance cannot be assessed either in the hand or looking at them in those pens, and that is the heart and the brain. And after all, they are the two organs which will bring a pigeon out of extreme distance.
getting on?
I lost you, Herbie. Go on. Stick your nose through.
May I say £50? 55 on me. 55 bid. £60, 60 bid. 65. Of 60 bid, you hold on. That's £60. Last time. All finished.
Lots of people have stock sense and this attraction to keeping livestock, and I think pigeons are an attractive form of livestock to keep. It's a sense that those birds are living, if you like, a semi-wild existence under your personal control.
Come on, how are they doing? How's your eggs?
The communication between man and pigeon is it's an innate thing.
That's them. Chipping nicely.
Pigeon racing began in mining communities where men raced pigeons over a distance of only a mile or so. These milers, as they were called, are an idiosyncrasy now, but one group still survives in Middlesbrough, and they're at the very industrial roots of the sport. The appeal of the sport to them is that the race is all over in a minute. There's none of the waiting we have in homing pigeons.
20. 15. There you go, you haven't been for ages. 10. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. Oh, shit. He's one from here, him, hasn't he? Yeah.
Forty.
Hey, 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 hey.
45.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey.
50.
Hey, hey.
Idiots.
Hey, hey,
Back.
hey, 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 hey.
Go.
Hey, hey, hey.
2 5/10.
The sport in the northeast and its industrial background has produced some great pigeon men. There's a man in Skinningrove, an ex-ironstone miner. Pigeons have been his life for over 60 years.
How are you doing?
Well, I started the mine when I was 14 years old. It was never a good paid job, went mining. I know when I got married, we only had £2 a week. You worked in just your underclothes, undershirt and maybe short pants. Every man's wagon was weighed, and you wanted at least 16 ton a day to make somewhere within a reasonable living. Maybe £2 in them days. I used to get up on a morning, 4:30. I always went to the pigeons first. Then I went to work for about 5:45. When I come back from pit at 2 o'clock, my dinner, straight back to pigeons. That was my life. It was a shame when they closed the mine.
Which goes to show you can't lose. You can't lose in this game. Anyway, now let's meet Marilyn Howes from Jarrow. Where's Marilyn Howes from Jarrow, please? Right. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Fine, you look lovely. Is this alive?
No, it's...
Now, you're...
I've lived in Skinnygrove 42 years. It's as good a place as any you'll find. Pigeon racing's 365 days a year. I go up there, rain, snow, blow, twice every day.
Come on. Howie. Come on. Howie. Come on now. Howie. Come on. Howie now. Come on. Come on. Howie. Come on.
I get up here 6:30 in the morning. As soon as it's daylight, I'm up.
Get in. Go on.
When it gets a bit later on the morning, I'll be up here at 5 o'clock. And, you know, it's men that comes like that wins races. You've got to be among your pigeons.
Steady now. What's the matter? Eh?
When you make a fuss of them, they'll come back to you and they'll fuss with you.
Go ahead, money, man. He's a button. Oh, yeah.
Some wants to fight you and play with you. That's a son of a combine winner, and he's a beauty. And this one's a daughter after the Bavase combine winner. But I'm hoping of good things of it. A nice bright eye, lovely clean wattles, and them's the wattles. Nice nard under here, muscled. Nice sheen on the feathers, so they can fly through rain. And if I see a pigeon as young uns, a cock playing with hen, I try and keep them together. And it's like a love marriage then, and they seem to fly a lot better. They maybe not breed a good young un, but they'll still fly their hearts out to get back. And you win quite a number of races like that. When they're about 3 weeks old, we put them on front and they can't fly, they can just walk about. A week like that, and then they start to fly around the garden and onto board back again. Then they go, maybe 2 or 3 days after, they'll go a bit further. And when they're 5 weeks old, they start to fly strong.
The northeast of England has the most fanatical pigeon fanciers, I would think, even worldwide. They would sell their own wives rather than the pigeons. This particular pigeon, as you fanciers will know, is Champion Parkside Superman. He is from the northeast of England, and he's a pigeon of the calibre that only most people dream about.
This pigeon, how long was he raced and how much work did he have?
He was very, very lightly raced, simply because the pigeon was so valuable at stock. He cost the Llewellyn Lofts several £1,000s. Superman has been mated with his own daughters to ensure that when Superman dies, that the closest possible bloodlines are retained here from him, so that we can reproduce winners year in, year out. We try to pair them to 2, 3, 4, or even 5 mates at any one particular time. And the more sons and daughters we will have for ourselves at stock the following season. These will be reproducing the grandchildren that we can then sell to the public at a very reasonable price. So that's allowing them to race the bloodlines of Champion Parkside Superman.
All you've got to be is a super pigeon and have your own harem.
That's very true.
Pigeons on view today.
The popular image of the pigeon man, without a doubt, which is fast dying, is cloth cap and muffler, is an inarticulate, working class or unemployed man from the north of England who kept pigeons because it was all he could afford to keep. I think Andy Capp is a caricature of what the early pigeon fancier probably was like, and that image isn't true.
enjoyed the racing the birds. I have done for many, many years. And I found time with business was getting less and less available for the pigeons. So I thought to myself, well, if I can, mix a bit of pleasure with a bit of business. So I brought the pigeons down above my office, so then I can do the business, which is paramount, and the birds with a few moments of spare.
Come on then, son. Come on then.
If you can imagine, how incredible these birds are, they're only 1.5 pounds of energy. Just a bundle of feathers weighing 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. But they can fly 500-600 miles within the one day. Liberate at 6 o'clock in the morning, home 8 o'clock at night, no bother at all. We have 2 systems of racing pigeons. Basically the natural system, where the cock and hen stay together continually throughout the racing season, racing youngsters and laying eggs, which is the natural cycle. Then we have the widowhood system. Well, widowhood is basically a sexual reward system. The birds are normally paired up. They go through the cycle of laying eggs, bringing up youngster, back on eggs again. And then, at an opportune moment when they've been sitting about 10 or 12 days, we remove the hen from the cockbird. He goes a bit miserable for 3 or 4 days and goes off form a bit. Then he starts to roar and look for another hen. So then we introduce his own hen back to him, which makes him absolutely stone crackers. He has 3 or 4 minutes with his hen. We then put him in the basket, and all it is he sees his hen once a week before he goes to a race, and she's always there when he comes back. If it's a very hard race and he's on his beam ends, he only sees about 2 or 3 minutes. But if he's had an easy race, and most of them have done well, mind, because it's a reward system, and we may leave them overnight. Desires are fulfilled, and he's ready for next week.
Back to Paris, and then my current problems with time is that travelling and pigeon racing don't fit well together. Unfortunately, this means that you do miss quite a few races. In an ideal world, I would try to do the major trips during the close season. Going straight to Niagara via New York.
Mm-hmm. You want to go Concord?
Yes.
Yeah.
And during the past 35 years, of course, unemployment hasn't been as bad as it is now, but there's always been unemployment in this area. And any available job, we got quite a few available pigeon fanciers. Corn, of course, is the major cost of keeping pigeon. By good buying, you can either halve your cost or reduce it to 60 or 70%. Having 20 fanciers in our time, we've had more. I've always tried to get them corn a little bit cheaper through bulk buying. It's not a bad thing for industrial relations either.
£9 a hundredweight. But you'll have to ask Dr. Riley.
Yeah. See if we get lots of pure rat.
No, I don't think you'll do that. You might lose a few skin and go of youngsters.
Come on.
Let's go and have a look at your youngsters.
Very good, Ralph. Just put it over there.
Because I'll never beat these back. There's one or two nice hens here, though.
There it
there's
is.
a one there, look.
That's soft. You're waiting.
Oh, yes.
That late bread waiting. It's away today.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe an orphan now.
They're a bit young, like, but there you learn. There you learn.
Oh, yeah.
Learn them rough.
Are the parents, are they off the stock birds, these?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
off 660.
Oh, well.
Second combine.
It's got a few brothers and sisters that's won anyway. That's always a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're looking a bit hungry. I think it's time you had them fed. You see how these two orphans are going to feed.
Well, they'll come to trot, Ralph.
Oh, there they are.
There's more. What do you do during the day to make a living? In the club on the weekends, the pigeons are foremost. The good uns, the bad uns, the rubbish. It's all discussed and everybody's exactly the same. The type of men we have, they are all great.
It's a peculiar thing to try and say why you like the sport, but after all, having been racing pigeons now for more than 40 years, you do attract a lot of very fine friends. People just never hit with the person in. He said, don't tell anybody. He said, just put 3 in the clock. First, second, and third combine. Oh, yeah. From first email.
Never live in town.
No, he never lived in town.
It's on the wall of the hut, actually. We've got big letters, in the back of the hut.
Well, the story that Nat was telling me about the bloke in their club, Billy, and he came in the barn, he said, dog's been in, he said it's killed 6. So he had to put down. Oh no, he said it only kills whitings, I've got no whitings left. He was a little killer.
I remember a chap on Shields one, you know better than I do, was where the pigeon had a sour crop. He had a perfect solution to go and get one of these live beetles, open his beak, put it down, live, and the system was he's supposed to eat its way through the sour crop. But it was true, there's no doubt about it.
Do you remember the male as well?
Yeah, I remember. Well, just beside Billy Mill there, that was the male mark. And I went up this day with this pigeon, mind he fancied it. It was a good pigeon. I liberated it, you see. It was coming down, and here's a steamroller coming up. Hit the steamroller went over it.
You're a kid, no?
No, I'm just true. It's true. And I don't want to come back and tell him. No, I don't. And that pigeon, if I crease his ways, it doesn't come. And he was there with his watch, waiting, timing in.
Like a wheel. One for the road,
I never went to look for it. I never went to look for it.
You know, you have a good chance of, when they're in good condition, sparkling eye and that, the bang on. Then it'll fly more truer, faster, if she has a chipping egg. You can blow them and put a worm in and it turns to egg. They think it's chipping and, there's lots of methods, lots of tricks. I use a jar of honey and sugar as energy. You can tell the difference with the feathering and such as that. It's sparkling eye.
Friday and a Saturday of pigeon racing. That's what I enjoy, the competition.
Hotel.
83, you
We have a good club now. You can have a crack and leg pull, and the man that wins, they'll congratulate him. And everybody has a word for you.
83,
Lad that won last week, he's never won a race. He has a smile 10 foot wide. If he'd won £1,000, he couldn't have been no happier.
438.
Everybody works together when you're putting them in baskets, and there's no complaints whether you put one in at a 50. The more you put in, the better they like it.
UNC 436.
Hurry, Tom.
to go to bed.
4724.
467.
Right, the person's at Cox. On the ring leg, please, Dave. Every time.
Look, Cock.
The rubber rings that the pigeons wear are a form of identification. They're a race marker. Race markers do prevent cheating. They tell you that that bird has been where it's supposed to have been.
Cock. Check cock. 83 TN 3466.
Red cock.
Red cock. Check pipe cock.
Another check.
84 CC.
That's it.
Right. What? 2.5-inch rolls, the clocks. Just stack on the cupboard, man.
Thank you for letting me away.
Yes, are you in a hurry?
I'm in a hurry. I'm just going to dinner, as a matter of fact, with the Secretary of State, so that we're busy. Thank you.
Check cock.
It's all go. 8 o'clock.
Which road do you want? Go on and down, that's fine.
Clocksman now.
Aye. The clocks are a very important part of pigeon racing. Before the race, they're synchronised, so you know whether the clocks are running fast or slow, and they're sealed so that there can be no tampering with them before the bird is actually timed in.
5. Get ready. Up! You know what about all right, lads, let's have your money. Anybody else? Where are they? Oh, if you hurry up, get out of that basket. Go on. We'll lift that. Oh, yeah. There you are. Let you go with him and I'll put you there. $11 and 6. That's 11 and 7. 1865.
Yes, on the sheet. I'll get them next.
Right, gun.
Out the way, though, Rip. Mind your face.
You all prepared?
Ready? Better get you on in.
I think we're going to blow home now.
Get ready! Cut!
I always had the best of both worlds. I don't have a cat problem. I have a gull problem, mind. They are unbelievably vicious to pigeons. I've lost quite a few to the gulls. I've visually seen them attack the flocks of pigeons flying around and devour them before they hit the water.
Come on, Bonnie lass, they're due.
Come on, Bonnie lass, that's with me.
Okay. Howie. Come on. Oh, yeah.
When you sight flocks come in, you're itching. You're all of them up. Yeah. It's a grand feeling. It only lasts for 2 or 3 minutes till and they're in. And then you're looking round to see if anybody's beat you.
Oh, you know. Go on. Good lad.
Pigeons is unpredictable. I'm in with a chance, I think. And I hope. You think you've got a world beaters in and you're a mile behind. And following week, you've lost a bit of heart, and then you maybe get first, second and third.
Things are changing quite rapidly now with closing of shipyards and mines and heavy industry. The work isn't here, but the pigeon enthusiasm's still there. There's not much money to be won, mind.
Come on, lad. Hurry then. Come on, Bonnie lass. Come on then. Hurry then. Come on.
Come on. Howie.
I make a fuss of everyone. I play with them. They're queer, but they seem to always come back. Man do.
Five. Go.
Clock setting's a pretty mundane procedure. Most men have basketed their birds and they want to get away. But clock opening, there's a great air of expectancy and tension. Most people have an idea of who's won the race, but until you know how fast and slow your clocks have run, nobody knows who's actually won.
All lads that has a chance of being in first aid, you all go down to the clubhouse. Then when they've struck off, you get your rubber rings out at clock. Secretary and man write the rubber ring numbers out and check everything.
First rubber.
Then they start putting them through computer, and that's how they get a velocity.
Second one.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do real good times. It might be 12,000 yards per minute.
First
And
pigeon. 094.
sometimes it's a mile a minute that they've flown.
5-1.
You had to work them out all beyond.
George Ogden.
It was a long job doing velocities.
1,500.
Now then, it's just a matter of putting them in computer and Bob's your unk. You just press that button and all your results come out. I think it's one of the best things that ever happened at Skinny Grove. It's secretary like, it's made his life a lot easier.
First, Evans and Son. Second, Wilson Brothers and Storko. Third, Pearson Brothers. Fourth, Rowan Son. Fifth, Evans and Son. Sixth, Wilson Brothers and Storko. Seventh, Evans and Son. Eighth, J. Ogden. Ninth, Rowan Son. And 10th, Evans and Son.
Question here. If a bird failed badly to come up to your expectations after a race, would you be tempted to kill it, or give it away, or give it another chance, or what would the panel do with it?
I've seen the days when I was younger and when pigeons and life didn't matter much to me. When I was younger, I've seen the days where I would just kill them out of hand. I've never ever killed a pigeon when it's come from a race. I've left it in the loft, I've thought about it, and I've killed it perhaps a day or 2 days later. I've never killed it on the first time it's failed. I've killed it on the second or the third time it's failed.
In pigeon racing, there's a hell of a lot of pocket empties that come that little bit behind winner week after week after week, and if you give them all chances, you're going to end up with pretty empty pockets. I think a pigeon fancier, he knows his family of pigeons unless you're just starting up, and you've got a fair idea if a pigeon's going to win or if it isn't. And let's face it, if it isn't towing the line, as long as you've got your stock birds that are producing winners, I'm afraid there's only one spot. Why give somebody one that isn't doing any good at all? He wants to go in the garden, in my opinion.
About pit walk and pigeons. It's two extreme opposites. 7 1/4 hours, you go down a black hole and you're fastened in there. And then when you come out, the opposite to being fastened in like a prisoner all day is where the pigeon can go, and that's up in the sky. It's the greatest open space in the world, isn't it?
Oh, I like it. I mean, I was bred and born in Easington, and I still like Easington. Yeah, definitely. When I started to fly in 1966, I still say you want at least 5 hours a day for pigeons to do the pigeons justice. And you want to be there 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night. It's dedication. It's just dedication. That's all. Sheer dedication. And if you haven't got it, you're wasting your time flying pigeons, I think. I had 2 weeks holiday. I would be 78, 79. I had 2 weeks. I had a week in Scotland 1 year, and I had a week in Scotland the year after, and them was the only holidays I've had since I started flying pigeons. It's just, it's just routine. Everything's just routine. It's the same as going to work and taking your clothes off and putting them on. It's just routine. once you're down the pit, that's it. You're down the pit and you can't do nothing about it. But you look forward to getting back out again and get to the garden and set your pigeons and that.
You wonder what sort of day it is. It's not civilised for a man what's been at work 8 hours to wonder what the weather's like. You know, he's 1,300, 1,400 feet below the ground. And it's an important thing. He's saying, I wonder if the sun's shining. Is it raining? And it's thoughts like this come to your mind. As the southwest Durham coalfield was on the decline and the coastal pits were opening, obviously their miners migrated onto the coast and they brought along with them the hobbies, the pigeon racing, milers, who used to work 10 hours in the pits, and they hadn't the money to go to the social clubs. I think they welcomed the fresh air and the enjoyment they got in the allotments with the pigeons and whatever. There have been 4 crises in this community which people have pulled together. 1926 strike, Second World War, recent NUM dispute, and the 1951 disaster.
Easington Colliery has suffered the worst mining disaster in County Durham for over 40 years. Comrades and relatives of the entombed men have been told that hope of rescuing them alive must be abandoned. The death roll is put at over 80.
It's terrible. It was a terrible thing for any community. 80 odd local lads killed. Just imagine the effect on the whole place. A lot of men walking in the pit. You have your pigeon men among them. And they were on a week before they got the last ones out, I think.
We didn't know on that Tuesday morning that they were all dead because we thought there was still hope.
It's got to be gas, definitely. But what set it off, nobody knows. And I saw the effects of that, and it was unbelievable.
It was just like a war, just like a battlefield. I mean, and every day you heard that colliery band playing the Dead March, and it was terrible. Carrying bodies out of the pit up into the hangar in the colliery yard. People going down, identifying clothing. These things you'll never forget. And I had to go down and time in for all the grief and sorrow what was in the village. You couldn't leave pigeons, which had been away since the Friday night till the Tuesday morning, racing back to the loft. No interest in the race, but at least you had to feed and water them when they got back.
He produced a stronger pigeon, without a doubt.
But first time I crossed him was 2 years ago. That maybe I never up here. And I've read Torgy last one, I don't know what last one. I read it.
Anyway, how's the pigeons?
Well, they're coming out, right? If we had them...
Well, you shouldn't think about them pigeons buttoning. There's never seen them pigeons.
Yes, right there. If your pigeons are with the first group all the time, you'll get the day that the winning batch comes over your lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Johnson!
How long is it since the pigeon men saw them? 2pence. 5 woodbines. I've got 3 left to greed them off you. Isn't it funny how the women swoon at me? She thinks I'm Guy Mitchell. Old lass thinks I'm Guy Fawkes. Never mind. She says, we'll get married this afternoon and we'll have for best man, we'll have the pigeon man from Easington Lane. He was our best man. The vicar says produced the ring and he couldn't open the pigeon clock.
And she walked up the aisle back hours because she used to be usheretted the Woodian. I was secretary for the street. I put in for treasurer, but I was too well known. And I still fall in love with you.
That's it. Smashing. There it is, the first one I've seen. Kind of amazing, really, to think that something as small as this, probably 6 weeks' time, perhaps less, it'll be flying in 2 months' time, training, racing up and down to the coast. All the associated mystery with pigeons, how they find their way home. But at the end of the day, you don't really know why they come home or how they come home, except you're sure of one thing, that if you make them happy and contented in a reasonable environment, the pigeons will come home. And I think every pigeon fancier likes to think that the pigeons are coming home to him. He's bred them, he's created the environment, and hopefully they'll respond to it by racing. His foot, I couldn't have timed that better. It's beautiful. Beautiful little things. Here you go. Come on. Here you go. Got more. Here you go.
Off a minute, Dixie! Are you ready? Get ready!